If you've ever found yourself caught in a wave of memories, reminiscing about the good old days, well, I'm here to say that you're not alone. We all get nostalgic from time to time, whether it's a song that takes us back or a place that makes us feel like we're reliving a moment in time. I'm pretty sure you have experienced this before, but today we're diving deeper into a really interesting question. Why do we get so nostalgic? And is it actually holding us back from fully embracing the present? Listen to the conversation of two good friends, Jake and Lucy, talking about this. They are going to explore this feeling of nostalgia, why it hits so hard, and whether it's helping us grow or just keeping us stuck in the past. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's get into it.
Hey, great. You are finally here?
Hi. Sorry for being late. A lot of traffic today. But the important thing is that I could make it.
You're right. And here's your coffee.
Wow. Hot and tasty. Thank you.
You are welcome.
You don't seem fine. What's going on? What are you thinking about?
Do you ever think about why we always end up looking at the past? Like, why do we get nostalgic? I've been thinking a lot about it lately. Almost every time I see an old photo or hear a song from high school, I get hit with this wave of memories.
So that's what you are thinking. I get what you mean exactly. It's like your brain goes, hey, let's pull up a memory. And suddenly I'm sitting in my old room at 16 listening to Taylor Swift on repeat. But it's not really about the memories, right? It's more about why those moments stick out. Why do we become so attracted to them?
Yeah, it's like you're transported to a different time. For me, it's definitely those summers when I was a kid, like 10 or 11 years old. I remember every summer my family would go camping by the lake. We'd spend the whole day swimming, fishing, and just hanging out. No work, no school, no stress. And it felt like life would never get more perfect than that. Golden days.
Oh, definitely. I actually have a pretty similar memory. I must have been around 13 or 14, and my family went on this road trip up the coast. I remember waking up early, the whole car packed with snacks, and we'd drive all day. I'd stare out the window, listening to the radio, and feel like I had all the time in the world. Every time I think about it, I feel this weird mix of happiness and longing, like I want to go back and relive it.
True. There's something about that feeling of freedom, of not having any responsibility, that makes us want to hold on to it. But it's funny. When I think about it, I was probably complaining the whole trip about the car being uncomfortable or about being stuck in traffic. I totally forgot about all the little annoyances that came with those trips.
Oh yeah. When I think of that road trip, all I remember is the fun part. The laughing, the music, seeing the sights, and nothing else. You know. But I totally forgot about fighting over who would sit in the front seat. And for good measure, I fought with my siblings when the air conditioner was not cool enough. Ha ha ha. It's as if our brains have some ways of filtering out the bad stuff and only keeping the good memories.
It's true. It's like we only remember the highlights. Our minds paint this perfect picture, and I think that's why nostalgia feels so good. It gives us a chance to escape to a time when things felt simpler. But then, it's almost like we're tricked into thinking the past was perfect when, in reality, it had its ups and downs.
Yeah, that's where it can get a little tricky. Like, whenever you look back all the time, it's as though you are making comparisons between your current scenario and your old one. All of a sudden, nothing is quite as good again. I sometimes catch myself. Like, when I look at my life now with all the adult responsibilities, I'm like, ugh, life was so much better when I was 14. But if I'm being honest, at 14, I was still struggling in school. My friends were super dramatic, and I had my stress. It's not like it was all perfect.
Exactly. I think that is why nostalgia gets unhealthy. That is when it starts keeping you from going. If you start getting hung up on these romanticized memories, then you miss out on what's actually happening right now. It's as if we're always pursuing this feeling, but forget that in not being cautious, we let it rip the present joy from under us. And when this time passes, we say, this time was greater than the future one. And it goes on and on. Everything suddenly becomes better in the before stage.
Yeah, and I notice it a lot more these days. I am sitting here in a pretty great moment, and then I catch myself thinking, Wouldn't it be nice if I could go back to those carefree days? It's like I'm unable to enjoy the present because I am comparing it to an image of the past that wasn't even as perfect as I remember.
Uh-huh. It's like the good old days never even happened. I mean, take high school, for example. When I think about those years, I remember hanging out with friends, playing basketball, and just goofing off. But what I tend to forget is the stress I felt before every test or the constant feeling of not quite fitting in. I wasn't even as happy as I think I am recalling being back then.
That's the thing, isn't it? The past can start to look better than it was. But even though we know this, it's still hard not to get stuck in that mindset. It's like there's this romanticized version of our past that feels comforting. It's almost as if we're holding on to those memories because, in some way, they feel like they define us. Like, that was the best time in my life, and I want to keep it alive.
I totally get that. We tie a piece of our identity to certain memories. But the real question is, how do we enjoy nostalgia without letting it stop us from living in the present? I mean, there should be a way.
I think it's about perspective. I have begun looking at nostalgia not as something that is drawing me away from the present, but as something that reminds me to appreciate what I have in the present. Like those trips to the lake with my family. Yeah, I miss those days. But I can also think, wow, that was such a great memory. And then focus on creating new memories with my friends or making time for the things that make me feel at peace now. I can go on a trip now and do not wait for the future. I should make it happen now.
I love that. It's like nostalgia doesn't have to be a way of avoiding the present, but more of a way to stay grateful for what came before. Like every time I get nostalgic about my old friends, I remind myself to reach out to them and plan a new hangout, instead of just getting stuck thinking about the days and memories we shared together.
My friend, you are close to getting the point of an important idea. And also, remembering that the past was just one chapter of our lives. There are so many more chapters to write. We have so many chapters to plan for and make the best memories out of them. I think that's the beauty of nostalgia. It shows us how far we've come, but it shouldn't make us stop moving forward.
Agree with you. It's a delicate balance. You can love your past, but still make space for your present and the future. I guess that's the lesson in all of this. Be thankful for the memories, but don't live in them.
And I feel that basically. I can look back, get those warm memories, but also remain open to a new life and new chapters. Life doesn't stop when we remember the past. There is so much more to experience.
Good said. Lucy, it is like this coffee we're drinking, good on its own, but even better enjoyed in the moment. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly. Enjoying life now, while also appreciating what came before. I think that's the sweet spot. Cheers!
Cheers to that. Let's make some new memories, huh?
You got it, my friend.
Enjoy the memories you have, but stay open to creating new ones too. Life's always moving forward, and there's much more ahead. Thanks again for tuning into ASA English Podcast. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a reminder to live in the moment. We will be back soon with more thought-provoking chats. Take care, stay present, and keep creating new memories. Nostalgic. A feeling of longing or affection for the past, often idealized and remembered with fondness. Example. Whenever I visit my childhood home, I feel nostalgic about the summers spent there with my family. Reminiscing. The act of recalling past experiences or events, often with a sense of warmth or sadness. Example. We spent hours reminiscing about our school days, laughing at the silly things we used to do. Prevail, to be superior or dominant, or to win in a situation. Example. The joy of the present should prevail over the memories of the past. Romanticized. To view or present something in an idealized or exaggeratedly positive way, often ignoring the less pleasant aspects. Example. He romanticized his childhood, forgetting the struggles and focusing only on the good times. Escaping. To break free from something or to avoid facing something unpleasant. Example. Nostalgia can sometimes feel like an escape from the pressures of everyday life. Annoyances. Small but irritating problems or disturbances. Example. I remember the fun of our road trips, but I forgot all the annoyances, like the long hours stuck in traffic. Identity. The characteristics, qualities, or beliefs that define a person or group. Example. Many people tie a significant part of their identity to their hometown and the memories associated with it. Carefree. Free from worries or stress, typically associated with a happy, relaxed period of life. Example. The days spent on vacation felt so carefree, like nothing could ever go wrong. Delicate. Requiring careful handling or consideration, often due to its sensitivity. Example. Finding the delicate balance between cherishing the past and living in the present is key to personal growth. Goofing off. To waste time or act silly instead of focusing on something important. Example. Instead of studying for the test, Sarah spent the whole afternoon goofing off with her friends.